life is so short and it's too short for it to be conquered by your fears. I think love is the opposite of fear. So like, do it for yourself, if not for anyone else. Don't be afraid.
Living Mosaic.
What's good, y'all? I'm Don, and I just want to welcome y'all to Mosaic Makers, a podcast from Living Mosaic, where we get to highlight stories of amazing creatives going all the way back to their origins of inspiration to hopefully inspire you to create today. And I am extremely excited today, as for this episode, we have a homie coming in all the way from New York City, a Korean-American, multi-hyphenate creative extraordinaire, honestly. Deb Kim, aka with her DJ name Jungin. How are you doing, Deb? How's everything?
Hi, what's up?
I know that you've been busy with a lot of stuff, so I wanted to ask, you've been doing a lot of shows recently, like you were in Jade and Jungle, Breaking Bread. You were also in the Bay Area not too long ago, so you've been busy. How's everything with that?
Yeah, dude. It's been cool. Like, I was a little bit worried. Like, I wasn't getting as much gigs in like December, January. I was getting a little bit worried because I definitely spent a lot of holiday money on myself.
As a teacher, treat yourself.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I started doing a lot more this past 2 months, and it's just been super exciting. Like, it's been a really cool journey.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot, and I was like looking in posting on social media, and I'm like, oh man, she's doing a lot of gigs. She's going all over the place in a good way, and it just makes me excited to see what's coming up next in the future, because you're doing a lot, and that's crazy.
Thank you. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to get this bread.
Hey, I mean, that's what matters at the end of the day. As long as you're trying your best, that's what matters. And I acknowledge that you've been doing a lot, so props to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. So as I said before, I know that you're super busy, but I appreciate you taking the time to be a part of this interview, and I'm so glad to dive deep into your story as a creative. So, you were born and raised over in Staten Island, but your parents were first-generation immigrants. I think you're a second-gen Korean American. So tell me about, the cultural influences growing up between Staten, New York, and then, when you moved later into New Jersey. I mean, I think the bigger parts of your childhood was, of course, Staten, New York City. So just tell me about the cultural influences being both Korean American and also growing up in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born in Jersey. I was raised in Staten Island, and my first language was actually Korean.
Oh wow.
And then I went to school here, right? So then I kind of forgot, and I'm a way better at English now. But yeah, I feel like Staten Island is the least New York borough. It's like the least of the boroughs.
Yeah.
But I'm still proud to be from there, just because I think when I started embracing hip hop culture, it's like so much about remembering where you came from and embracing your roots. Yeah. So I grew up I grew up in Port Richmond, which is kind of like the hood a little bit. But I think the thing I'm grateful for with living in Staten Island is I was in very different, diverse neighborhoods. And then I went to Korean school, so I met some people kind of like me, and I never look at myself as a Korean American artist. I'm just an artist that is Korean American, but I definitely have explored parts of my identity in some of my art forms. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you were growing up, when did you first off, when did you start touching into those creative pursuits, and then how early on were you able to integrate a lot of your upbringings into further honing those pursuits, further refining those skills?
I feel like I didn't know what I liked for a while when I was a kid. Also, I just felt like we didn't have money to pursue things.
Sure.
Yeah, but I had diaries since I was maybe in fourth grade. I've been writing journals. I still have all my journals.
Oh.
So yeah, my first art form was writing. Never properly or officially. I never did it for money. I never did it for recognition, but I guess it became a strong suit because I have been doing it for so long without the hindrance or limitation of doing it for people. So I was doing spoken word in high school, and that's actually the form that I most kind of explored my Korean American identity in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I remember reading from like the Canvas Rebel article that you said International Festival was a big part into your pursuit. Was that with spoken word or with other ventures in your creative journey that kind of
Yeah.
pushed you further?
Yeah, so Wagner, so I went to two different high schools, and when I went to Wagner, there was this really big talent night called International Fest, and that's actually like kind of where I got really into dance. Like I started going to like church by choice right around high school,
Oh,
and
wow.
there was something called like body worship, which was like it's like choreography, but to like worship songs, and so like I did it for like the Christian club at International Fest, and then like Korean fan dance. I guess it's like another part of my culture, like where I was like exploring dance. So yeah, International Fest is kind of like a really pivotal moment where I realized how much I liked being on stage and like dancing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that was around high school, correct? Just
Yeah. Like my
got it.
like senior year of high school, I was like, oh, I love this.
So once you started to appreciate and get more into the dance scene, I think some of the notes that I had is that after high school, you were training at BDC. First off, what's BDC again? Just to make sure that
It's
I got that.
Broadway Dance Center.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
were training out there right after high school?
No, so I went to school. I went to NYU and like
Okay.
studied whatever. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I like took my first dance lesson while I was in school, and I like did
Okay.
like a dance team. And my mom was like, focus on school, like just graduate first.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to stay away from dance. So like the moment I graduated, I went to train at Broadway Dance Center.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
was this, I guess, was that around the time that you started being Debset Kim at the time? Because
Oh.
I'm trying to wonder a bit like where that came in between, because I knew that was like your first moniker before you started in the Jungin.
Yo,
So
I
wanna
love that you know
walk
that. Yeah, because that dude, I've had that nickname for like almost 20 years, I think.
I was
It's
about to
actually,
say.
yeah, when the Diplomats, Joel Santana came out with their Go,
Yeah.
the whistle song. Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
in high school. And I think I was just joking around being like, there you go, it's Debset. And then it just kind of like stuck. Yeah, and I would introduce myself as Deb, and people would just be like, are you Debset? So I just like couldn't get rid of it. So I just had it for a
Gotcha.
long time. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because I noticed a lot, you were doing a lot of, you're doing a lot of workshops and leading a lot of workshops around that time. So was that around your NYU time before you started going to BDC, or was this? I'm just trying to find like that evolution of dance, like when you dabbled into these certain experiences, the timeline for it.
Yeah. I wasn't like heavy on teaching. I did it here and there. Same with choreographing. I was so scared to do it, honestly.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of responsibility as a teacher to just like lead well, and also honor the art form, honor the culture and like the history or the roots behind the specific styles that you might be teaching. So I was always like really intimidated, but I did teach a few workshops like here and there. But yeah, I took class at NYU. Like I tried some classes at BDC, and then I joined a team, and I just kind of like threw myself into the industry like right after, without having any understanding of what I was doing.
Like
And
right after NYU?
yeah, like literally school ended May, and I was
Yeah.
in a dance program in May. Yeah, with Gigi
Crazy.
Torres, who's like a really big like
Yeah.
commercial industry, like just like leader. And I was
Mhm.
training under her for like her thing called Establish Your Empire. It was like volume 1 in New York,
Sure.
like one of the very, very first ones she did. And that was like
Mhm.
my first taste of like the commercial industry. And I got my ass kicked, bro. Like
Really?
I had
In what
no
way?
I had no idea what I was doing. I had no dance training. I think I was around a lot of people who grew up dancing. I didn't
Okay.
grow up dancing like that. Like I was like way not on everyone else's level. It was so intimidating. So like I didn't realize, but I really threw myself into the deep end. Yeah.
And during that time, I know it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of growth. And to that point, were there people that were helping you out into that, or was it kind of a bit more? As you said, there's people that have so many different backgrounds, was it more so kind of figuring a lot of stuff out on your own?
I honestly feel like I was figuring out a lot on my own. It was very
Mm.
cutthroat and like it was
Oh,
giving
wow.
like, yeah, it was very like dog eat dog. Like I didn't really feel
Yeah.
like I was like it wasn't friendly, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, I wasn't really making friends. But when I did the training program at BDC, like there's something called ISVP. It's a lot of international students too.
Sure.
So mainly from like Japan and Sweden, but I made friends there, and I think that definitely helped.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
during that time with BDC, I think one of the things that I want to highlight to one of your highlights in your creative career was K-pop Live. So I wanted to
Oh
dive
yeah.
into that a bit. I remember like looking a bit into your experience with that. So tell me
Mhm.
about how that experience from BDC landed you into something like that with K-pop Live, where you were at an off-Broadway celebrating Korean culture
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, I never ever expected myself in the theater world. And so that was a few years into like my training, and I knew that the only way to move forward was like you have to go on auditions and like try to
Yeah.
book gigs. And I actually was kind of stuck in this like limbo of like you're never gonna be ready enough, so you just have to go, and like part of the job is just auditioning and getting rejected a bunch of times.
Yep.
But I was in this like in between limbo of like, oh, I'm not ready. And then I started getting stuck where I wasn't going on auditions because I was scared. And like now I'm just training, but like I didn't know where I was going. And so in like 2017, I started to like question my choices. I was like, I think I need to go back to school. Maybe I'll do UX UI. Like I was like, I need to find another route. And it was the beginning of the summer, and I was like, okay, just for this entire summer, I will go on every single audition that I can. And I was actually hosting a dance workshop at the time with this organization called Elevated Movement, where we wanted to kind of find this place where people can both learn from people of various styles and backgrounds, but also hear testimonies of faith and how we can like intersect our like faith life with our creative life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's something that means a lot to me, and I think it's very like unique and kind of hard to find, but when you find, it's very special. And I was just like facilitating the event. I wasn't teaching, and this guy was handing out these like janky white cutout papers that said K-pop, the musical. And I was like, oh, those are two things I don't really care about. But then it's like looking for Korean American, Asian American talent. And I was like, that's interesting. You don't really see a lot of casting notices like that. So that kind of piqued my interest, where they were like, oh, we're looking for people with like abilities to dance, sing, all the above, whatever. And I was like, huh. And I kind of just like folded it in my back pocket, and I just like moved on. But then I think like 2 days later, I got a DM on my Instagram from the music director being like, hey, I'm looking for people for K-pop. And so whenever I get like a second message of the same thing, I'm like, I think I should pay attention to this. And yeah, then I was like, oh, I don't really sing like that. And she was like, it's okay, like just like K-pop artists, like people have different strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, I went in, and then I bombed the first round where I had to sing.
Yeah.
Bombed it. I was so nervous. And but then they also had acting sides, and I'm like, I felt a little more confident about that, because I had just started acting training like maybe a year prior, and I like fell in love with that too. Yeah. And then but then I made it past the first round, I think because of the acting. And the second round was dance, didn't have a problem there. The third round was again acting, singing. And then they were like deliberating, had me outside the room, and they had me come back in. And they were like, we heard you can rap. Can you do that? And I literally knew one rap song in Korean that I tried to teach myself in high school, but my brother was making fun of me. So I was like, I'm never going to rap again. So I only knew this one song, and I did that. And then they brought me to like a final round, and I booked the job. So,
wow.
Yeah. And that kind of like changed my trajectory.
Yeah. So, wow. So it was spoken word, and then dance, and then I got
into acting.
The community acting, and
yeah,
it led up to that moment. I mean, I feel like, especially since, person of faith, it's like, it's funny to see all these things coincide to lead into like moments like this.
Oh
That it
yeah.
just lined up. I mean, the fact that saying one of the things that was there was you pulling up one rap song that you had that your brother was making fun of you, that
Yeah.
ended up being a crucial part. It's just so funny to see these pieces align to end up
Yeah.
into that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was like, if we talk about faith, like such a moment of redemption, because
Mhm.
I think I had tried to like learn that rap song literally like 10 years prior. And like I just wanted to know how to rap in Korean and read
Yeah.
Korean. I didn't even know how to read it, I was just like
Wow.
stumbling through it.
Mhm.
But it felt so embarrassed when he made fun of me.
Yeah.
I gotta give him credit. He also influenced a lot of my music. I'm very grateful to him. But
Mhm.
that moment, I was like, I'm never gonna do this again. And I would have never thought 10 years later that would like book a job that would change my life. And so I feel like that's how, like, in my book, like that's how God can redeem like moments of shame and make it into something much greater than you ever imagined.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, to expand on that a bit further. So when you said that I changed your trajectory, I
Yeah.
got, a lot of shows that you were being a part of. I remember like showing up in New York Times. Lin-Manuel Miranda showed up at one point
Yeah.
during that. So talk to me about how that changed your trajectory in your own personal and creative life through that experience.
Well, I had thought I would give up and go to some type of grad school. And it's like the first audition, I told myself I'd go on like as many auditions as possible, but it just happened to be the first one, and I landed it. So I knew like, oh, I'm not leaving yet. And yeah, I've never had so much like attention from the press. It was honestly really overwhelming. Like I
Sure.
feel like sometimes we kind of like dream to be famous or noticed, but it was like I was not used to that level of like attention. I was very grateful. Like we got featured in the New York Times, NPR, MTV Asia, like a bunch of stuff. But I was working with one of the cast was Ebony Williams, who is one of the single ladies, like Beyonce's like dancer and like movement coach, like iconic woman. And she is a big reason I got signed to an agency. Like she's the one who referred me to the agency I'm with now. And so
Wow.
like I got signed because of that show. So
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
like these funny coincidences that lead one thing to another, all these branching
Yeah.
like, experiences that you have. That's so crazy. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I could see that it definitely that was a huge highlight in your creative life. So tell me a bit of, because of course it didn't last forever. Walk me through that evolution as a creative once you moved on to that up until 2019, when we were talking about the when Chicago, when you were doing your spoken word. Talk to me about that time in between, because I'm trying to figure out how was your creative transition between K-pop live to your spoken word in 2019 in Chicago.
Yeah, it was tough because
Sure.
there was just a lot of pressure. Once I got signed, I felt like I had to show up as a certain type of talent, and the reality was I'm still me, and there's a lot of things I don't know how to do, and I was trying really hard to like fit into this like amorphous, ambiguous mold that I kind of felt like I needed to become. And I didn't know what that was. And I was going on like mad theater auditions, which was terrifying because I'm like, guys, I'm not a Broadway singer, but I'm going on these Broadway auditions and like being looked at all funny, It was so cool. Like I moved back into New York, like into Midtown, and I got a lot of opportunity to do like auditions that I couldn't have gotten without an agent. And then somewhere around that, I also like got to train with Keone and Mari, and that was so impactful for me because Keone and Mari are both like, like huge choreographers who are also like in their faith. I think that was like right before K-pop. And then, because 2018 was kind of big, I definitely hit a slump where, so Keone and Mari had a show called Beyond Babel, and I didn't really have a lot of dance dreams. I think like if you had to ask me, it was just to work with them.
Sure.
And I auditioned for them in 2018. So this is like right after K-pop closed. And it was hard leaving. Like there's something called post-show depression where you are on stage every night like doing 40, 50 shows, and all of a sudden all of it's gone. And yeah, you just hit the slump because it's almost like you put all your worth into the show that you were pouring into. And all of a sudden, like my life is quiet again. And so I kind of felt like I needed to prove myself. And they had auditions, and I had auditioned for them before and got rejected maybe twice. And then this third time I got a call back. I spent my savings to buy a ticket to San Diego because I got to go to like the next round. I go into the room and I made it to the next, like the final round. And I got cut at like the final round, and I flew back with like a friend of mine who made it. And so we're flying back together, and our lives were just splitting, where I can see I'm flying back home without the job, and she's flying back and her life is about to change. And I'm so happy for her, but I am also like devastated because this was like my biggest dream. And like I was like angry at God, being like, you brought me so far and it dropped me so low. And I was so sad. And I just watched TV for like 5 weeks. And then I got up and I was like, I have to get up and I have to do everything I can in my power. And so a couple things happened in that time is I like made a spoken word for this art show in New York about like, it's called Dear Confucius, and it's about being Korean American and like the impact of Confucianism and how it trickles down to like even Korean Americans. Wow. And yeah, I just made it for that show. And like, I think a month after that, I flew to Chicago like for fun and to like for a concert, and people opened up their studio for me to teach, which was so cool. I forgot I like taught in another state. And on the flight to Chicago, like I called my mom crying, being like, I was on this like dance company and I just felt like the worst dancer. And I was like, I'm not their favorite. Like I'm never gonna be like good enough. And she was like, it sounds so cheesy, but it was so sweet. She was like, but you're God's favorite. And then I hung up and I flew. And then before flying back through like that company, I booked a gig to dance with BTS. And so I'm flying back, and like 2 days later, like, you know, I'm at Citi Field, and that was the biggest dance job I ever had, you know, like 45,000 people.
How did that feel, like from being that lowest point and then just having that, like, I mean, and also experiencing, you know, the Chicago experience and all that, like, how did it feel, just that emotion, like the wave of emotions that you felt like from that point? That must have been surreal to just
it was crazy. Yeah, honestly, the up and down gets very nauseating, but it's moments like that where, not to discredit like me doing my best and the people around me believing in me, but like my faith again is so important. And those were moments of like grace and like provision to me, where like in moments I least expected, another door opens, like when I was on like my last string of hope. And I think of it as grace because the fruit of it isn't just another job, it's gratitude. It's like I'm in awe and I'm in gratitude and I'm humbled and amazed. And so I was very humbled coming back home. Yeah, in the best way.
Yeah, because who would have thought, you know, you would have these experiences if X, Y, and Z didn't happen. So it's kind of like cool to see that, you know, it worked out in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got rejected from one job, but like I ended up doing multiple other jobs in different fields, right? Because later, that same spoken word I had just made, I submitted it to a competition, my first spoken word competition. So I ended up going back to Chicago a few months later and placed third, and like never had competed before, and I was using that same piece. So it's like you never know how like when you make a work, it can bear fruit continuously. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but throughout those experiences, and it was tough to be able to balance that on top of, the 9 to 5 to pay the bills and all that. How did that keep on motivating you to trying more creative ventures? Because I think the one that I wanted to talk about that you hold dear to your heart was when you produced Autumn Ride, which is like your first song that you produced too, right?
I didn't produce it. I wrote and
Oh, you
recorded
wrote
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
recorded it. Correction on my part.
All
But
good. Yeah.
it's still something, a piece of work that you hold close to your heart. So I wanted to ask, like, how did that motivate you to pursue another creative venture, and were any of those factors beforehand a factor into being able to take the leap to pursue something new like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think having to kind of figure myself out in different art forms and create work from like my own artistry or individuality, it's like it makes you believe in yourself or like your own voice. And it's like there was so many more moments along the way that were so like, what the heck, that brought me to making that song. Like when I was when we were doing sound check for BTS, like we were watching them on the like BTS on stage, and I just had this moment where there wasn't anyone in the stadium yet, but it's huge. Like it still kind of gives you chills, like how big the stadium is. And I looked at this and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I had like a major and minor thought. The minor thought was like, this is pretty fucking cool. Like I want to keep doing gigs like this. But the major thought was like, oh, I need to make music. And it doesn't have to be a stadium this big. It could be the church basement and my mom is there with my friends, But while I'm watching RM mic check, I was like, but if I don't try, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. And then, like into 2019, I had a moment where I really felt like I needed to just focus on music. And that was terrifying because I'm not a born singer. Like I've gotten made fun of like in the church for my singing. Like I have a lot of trauma of being made fun of about like how bad of a singer I am. And I was like turning down all these other opportunities and ended up dancing at Madison Square Garden. And like that was just like another faith story too of like how that happened. And so when these like moments would happen that to me were like miracles or things I could not have made up on my own, it just like it didn't take away the fear, but it just strengthened the conviction that I have to try this thing. And yeah, right before COVID, I like met with some friends who are really talented producers, and I was like, guys, I don't know how to do any of this. And they made a beat, and then we made the hook came out first. The hook and like the first verse, and then I just sat on it. And then somewhere in COVID, I was like, I need to finish this. And then we recorded it and I released it November 11th, 2020. And I had no expectation because I'm just a girl. And like, I didn't know what I was doing. And even like the first line of the song is "little scared."
Aww.
And yeah, because I was so scared of making music. And it got like 10,000 streams in like 2 weeks or something. Yeah.
And I think up to date, it's like up to 35K.
And I don't even promote it, but it just like went up. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which is still cool. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I think.
God. I was just gonna say, I know like that's not a big number for most people, but like for little me, like as my first song, I was just hoping for 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the fact that and that's why it really holds close to your heart is you taking that leap into something that, as I appreciate you being vulnerable to share about that too, where there was a lot of trauma, like to be able to do a creative leap to that avenue. So the fact that not only you did that, but people love your music for your music, I think that's really, it must be really like heartwarming to see that. So
it was so, man, I was so touched because I like part of my like broken record narrative is like I have a lot of pain from the dance industry.
Sure.
But a big reason those numbers happen was all of my dance friends. They like, I didn't ask them to, but they were sharing it, they were listening to it. I found out my friend in Sweden played it for her warm-ups, and I found out from another friend. No, he's not even my friend, but like one of my best friends, Euron,
Yeah.
she never told, and she's not the type to tell me, but someone who takes her class told me, hey, you're Debset, right? Like, Euron plays your song all the time when we stretch. And like,
No.
this bitch never told me, am I allowed to curse?
You're fine.
Okay, yeah, this bitch never told me she does that, and she's not the type to. And it's just
Yeah.
like quiet ways that my friends are like really loving me like that.
And I think that's one of the things to highlight as well is the fact that, as you said, there's a lot of trial and error, there's a lot of obstacles to go along the way. But as you find these obstacles, you find these small nuggets of people that they really, that really make, really support you and make all the trials and errors worth it to find them, essentially find that small community to support you. So the fact that you see a lot of that tied together, it's really sweet. And no, that's so awesome. That's so sweet. I love that story. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm actually glad we're talking about it. It's really healing to like look back and realize again like the people who really made this mean a lot to me.
For sure. And speaking of people, I know this. Well, first off, I also want to ask is throughout that evolution post-COVID to 2023, if you don't mind me sharing, like it was a lot of it was another complicated part of your creative journey. So tell me that period post releasing that song until you started to DJ. Like, how did that land you into that path forward? So tell me about that.
Yeah, that was like maybe my darkest valley. I was training like hard during COVID, like online as a dancer, and then but the world was burning. Still kind of is. But like, I think COVID really would make or break a lot of relationships, and that was happening. It's either if you didn't lose someone physically, you lost them relationally. Yeah, and then in 2021, I was so overworked. I was working as a receptionist at a hair salon. I was working at a fine dining restaurant. I was working as a choreographer for a music video.
God.
Yeah, and I was also moving. I was moving out to my own apartment. Yeah, and my foot just stopped working. Like I couldn't walk without major pain. Like I was limping, and I went to 3 doctors, and no one knew what was wrong. They all gave me different diagnoses. And I couldn't walk from like my living room to my bedroom. And it was terrifying as a dancer to like not know how to walk all of a sudden.
Yeah, because that's your life. Yeah.
That's my life. Yeah. And I had to fly to Korea to get treated. Like I went to the airport in a wheelchair. And it was cheaper to fly to Korea and get medically treated there than go through my health insurance here. Crazy. Yeah,
that's
crazy.
A whole other story. That's a
whole other story. Yeah. And I was in the hospital, like in and out, like 16, 17 times in like 7 weeks, like getting treated, like everything, like steroid pills, extracorporeal shockwave therapy, acupuncture, infrared, like chiropractor, everything. And I was just like in bed for 2 months, doing nothing but resting. And I was really angry and scared, and I started to slowly heal. And also around that time, when George Floyd happened, I left the church. I was really angry with like just the lack of like care or like the complacency that I was seeing, and I didn't know how to navigate my faith in this time as well. And but in that time of healing, it just kind of brought me strangely to this sweet place where I used to be like, oh, I want to dance another stadium like I did with BTS. But then I started just being like, I just want to walk like across the bridge. Like my dreams changed a lot. And I was like, I realized how able-bodied I was. Like I just started to really appreciate the small things. And while I was in bed, I get a call from my agents being like, K-pop's going on Broadway and they're doing a developmental lab. Like, we want to book you. And then I got booked by Amazon to do this commercial. And like, it was just kind of, another moment where I'm like, I didn't make this happen. And I flew back still in a wheelchair and I went on to this like set for Amazon, and then I'm doing this thing for Broadway, and then a lot happened there too, and then eventually I didn't move forward with Broadway, like I didn't move on, and it also had to do with like my lack of talent, and that was really devastating because, you know, you already hear some of the ups and downs. This was probably the biggest up and down of like, I went from not walking to getting this job to then getting not this job. And so I was like, I don't know how many more punches I could take. And yeah, dude, I don't know, like it was rough. Like there's no sugarcoating it. Yeah, and then I got into this relationship. It was not healthy, but I think my mentality felt, it was like I got spit back out, and now I'm just gonna invest in another person outside of me. That was kind of my mindset, I think, of like, I'll just pour into someone else. Not a good idea. And yeah, that didn't end well. And, you know, now we're in like end of 2022, 2023. Like I went through this huge spiritual transformation, and I went to California. I'm literally healing again. Like my foot is still in pain, right? Like it never like went away, and like I'm just walking around smelling the flowers, like and like questioning myself, and then that's, I think, yeah, like a lot changed there too, where I started thinking about my name, and Debset. It's like, when I hear it still, it warms me because I'm like, oh, you were there for like that era of me. But I started to pray about like, what should my name be moving forward? Because it kind of felt like a caricature. And I started to question that of like, why did I pick that? Or like, what is that alter ego? And I was praying for like 2 months, and I kept thinking about my Korean name, Jungin. And I never like identified with my Korean name because it means, Chung means like clear or pure, like when the water is clear, and in is like goodness or benevolence. I was like, nah, I'm not those things, you know? And I had written a song in LA with this huge producer. Like he's made tracks for big Korean artists that I'm like a fan of. And I wrote it after I got let go from Broadway, and I never finished it. And, you know, fast forward, after getting let go, I was like high all the time. Like I just couldn't be sober. And like this relationship, this breakup, I went back to LA to finish the song. And the lyrics kind of changed. It was a little bit different. And when we finished the song, he was like, where did you get the name Debset? And I didn't tell him that I had been thinking about this for like 2 months, right? And I was like, it's from Debset. And he was like, that's so not you. And I was like, I know. And he was like, we were just like brainstorming. I was like, I should change my name. I was like, what should I be like Lil Nuna? And he was like, no. Like he just shut me down. He was like, no. And he's thinking, right? And he was like, what's your Korean name? And I was like, it's Chongin. And he like sits there. And mind you, there's like a Chongin from like back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was like, Chongin, I like that. I was like, there's already a Chongin from like before. She was like, yeah, I worked with her casually. He's worked with J-Lo. He's worked with all these people, right?
Wow.
And he was like, that doesn't matter. And I was like, yeah, but people like, they won't know how to say it. And he was like, one day Billboard interviews you and they ask you what your name means. What do you tell them? And I'm like, it's a rap group called The Diplomats. And he was like, exactly. Like, but
that's
if you
true.
say it's, and he was like, but if you say it's Chongin, that's your name. Like, that's your name. And without my permission, he changes the file name to Chongin. Wow. And that felt like an answered prayer, where I was like, I didn't even tell this guy I've been thinking about this for months. And he just answered it for me. He was like, this is it. And I was really scared. I've never had to teach people how to say my name. I didn't grow up with that struggle. But since then, you know, I've been going as Chongin.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, you've been using that for, you know, your creative works, especially with DJing too. So it's really heartwarming to see you holding that dear to your heart and embracing that identity of you into being this part of you that is really representative of who you are. That's sweet. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. So, kind of touched this a little bit. So how did that identity in the jungin led into DJing?
Yeah. So that was totally a side quest.
Yeah.
I think I kind of got fed up with some of like the BS I went through with dance, and then even
Yeah.
with music, I didn't make that much music, but I was kind of like going through stuff there too. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna DJ for fun, totally for fun. And yeah, shout out to Sins. Like he's a friend of mine. He like kind of taught me the basics, and like him and like Ryan, I was at Ryan's house, like they're dancers who also became DJs, and I think they
Yeah.
also like had their own like, you know, reasons to go into it. And like dude, it's changed my life. Like I had no expectation going in, but I've found so much of myself and healing. And like I was so embarrassed, like when I was at Ryan's place, like I was just messing up everything. I had no idea what I was doing. But like they were not criticizing me, they were so gentle. And
Yeah.
like that made it much easier for me to just kind of like soar. Like being around people who were like, it's okay to make mistakes, and like kind of gently walk me through it. And then I kind of just like figured it out on my own. Like my friends were like, hey, we'll hire you for a Halloween gig. This was like a month or two into DJing. And I was like, okay. And I locked myself in my room for 3 weeks, and I just taught myself everything I could.
Was this in like 2024 when this like started?
2023.
2020.
So
Oh,
like
okay.
Halloween 2023.
Got
Yeah.
you. Wow. The fact that, wow, you locked yourself in a room because you
Wait.
wanted to make sure your sets were good. What's up?
It's 2026.
It's 2026, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. It's been like 2.5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when you're in this, like, you know, so many events happening and all that, you know, you get lost for the year. So I totally get it. It's all good.
Yeah.
around that time.
2023.
Okay,
Yeah.
2023, got you. But yeah, wow, locking yourself in a room, making sure that the mixes and transitions were good, the vibe was great, and just I can't imagine the euphoria you felt just being able to set the vibe and provide a good time for, you know, a lot of these events, and further honing in throughout these events. You kind of learned your craft as a DJ, learning how to freestyle, like all this random stuff, right? It was a lot of learning on the fly and finding your sound as you did more and more of these gigs, correct?
Yeah. I think the pattern here is I kind of just like dive into the deep end.
Yeah.
Saw
Saw that.
More like belly flop. Like I don't know how to dive like that. And it's really like fuck around, find out. Like
Yeah.
I say yes before I know, and then I kind of figure it out on the way. And it's like it's good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you know, the cliche saying, what doesn't cozy make you stronger? So the fact that you get to learn from these mistakes and then being able to carry that, I think the big part is learning from what you need to improve on or something like that, and then honing in that and building on that so that way you become a better craftsman in whatever creative pursuit that you do. And I feel like that's the case a lot when you did a lot more of these gigs over time, because I bet the DJ you like back in 2023, who would have thought that you'd be the DJ that you're now, right?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm still learning, but like I just did not know I'd be here. Yeah.
No, I mean, because going through a lot of the DJ sets that you've done, I mean, the fact that, like, you know, doing these small gigs and then doing gigs that you remember paying, or at least going to pay for cover to go perform at these places. And then in 2025, I know you were involved a lot with like cuffing season, which is, you know, you were a big regular with that one for New York City, and then all these other sets around New York City. Like, it must be so surreal to just think that I mean, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were doing a lot of these gigs, it's kind of crazy to look back to saying like you did all of that, right? Because it's just for you from week by week, it was just, okay, I'm doing this gig, I'm doing that gig, I'm doing that gig, right?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Like I still haven't really like reflected enough, maybe. But it's really cool.
No,
it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
cuffing like is a really meaningful party to me. A lot happened to me, for me at cuffing. Like it just, I have a lot of stories there. So to play that party and that stage, like Deluxe Flux, like I have so many memories there, and it's still my favorite venue to play just because of sentimental and like the sound. They have great sound. Yeah, and then working with Extra Butter, like that was so cool. It's still cool. Like continue, like I'm playing for them in Gore-Tex on Thursday. So there's so many, and it's not even like the big brands or big known events. It's like I've had the honor of playing like a powwow for the Northern Cheyenne tribe.
Wow.
And yeah, I played for like an opening night for an indigenous Ecuadorian tribe.
Wow.
Yeah, like that is such an honor. Because I would have never thought I would do things like that.
And who would have thought that DJing would lead you to stuff like that? Because if you were to start off your DJing career, you wouldn't have put it 2 and 2 together and thinking that would be one of the results that you do it, right?
Never. Like, and it's like I can't, like I'm at a loss of words because it just showed me, like I think people can kind of like whittle down the club to like whatever you think the club is.
Sure.
But if you look at the history of like a lot of dance styles or club styles, and like a lot of like there's a lot of power when like people meet with dance and music. And when I with this like Northern Cheyenne tribe, we were also with like this West African dance tribe, and like it was just like seeing different cultures and different histories collaborate like that and release, and like there's so much healing and so much power, especially in such a time of unrest where there's so much division, and then you see people wanting to come together and exchange something that is so sacred to them. It is such an honor to be a part of that. Yeah.
That's crazy. I think just seeing a lot of, with DJing as it is, it's so crazy to see on being able to use your creative craft to exude this like aura that is indescribable and unite so many things that you wouldn't have thought, as you said, like a Cheyenne powwow and West African like cultures, like being able to unite all these together and create this sort of indescribable experience where everyone is appreciative and uniting into this point. It's really beautiful. Wow. Yeah, I could definitely tell, you being the storyteller that you are, that's such a sweet metaphor to show with the power of just not just, as I said, creative passions, but also just music and people sharing their love of what they do together in order to create an environment that is very inviting and welcoming to a lot of people. So props to you for that. That's great.
Yeah, I feel really like blessed to like be a part of that and witness it. Like it's like we're making history, and like it might never be seen, but we did it. Yeah.
For sure. And I think, you've done so much times, so much highlights. I mean, I could go on and we'd be here for like 2 or 3 hours talking about each and every single gig that you've done. But just looking at, your creative journey as Jungin, how surreal is it to just look back and to see all of these avenues, these lefts, these rights that allowed you to become the person that you are today? How surreal is it to look back at that and just see where you're at right now?
I'm very, very grateful to talk about it because there's still so much I haven't even shared. Like, we don't have to get into it, but like about my acting journey or like being a creative director, like stuff like that. Like I don't really stop enough to think about what I've done. Like, I know that I work hard. Like, I can confidently say that. But I've always wanted to be prolific. I think for a while, because when I hear prolific, it's like, it takes so much discipline to do something many times. Like, I used to be like, oh, I'll only make like a few songs. But it's like, no, if you want to be great, you have to make 100 or 1,000. And a lot, most of that won't even be seen. And I guess like I'm grateful to reflect, and I can say like I'm proud to really recognize like I am doing everything I can to be prolific, to make as much as I can that is meaningful. So yeah, I'm thankful to like have this moment to pause and like share those things.
I mean, as I said, if we were going to talk about a lot of parts of your creative journey, we'd be here for 3 hours because it's a lot. And I know, there's so many different experiences that you had, both good and bad, that allowed you to become who you are. And the fact that it allows you, well, actually a random question on that too is,
Yeah.
what drives you to keep on doing that forward? Is it just a matter of just being like, fuck it, I'll just do it and see where it takes me? Is it a natural curiosity? Well, like, what fuels you to keep on creating, especially as you mentioned before, a lot of people get discouraged over those few and then kind of give up. So what was the impetus? What drives you to be able to continue to create and continue to learn?
It's like a couple things, and it's hard to, I can't not talk about my faith here.
Sure. Yeah, please.
Yeah, like I really think that we all carry characteristics of God. And I see God as like the OG creator. Like I say this a lot, like it's so geeky, but it's like the sky is literally we've never had the same sky in all of the days of our lives. Like whether that's wonder or pollution, like it's never gonna be the same. It's always painted different. Like that is so cool. And so I just feel like I feel like it's just in my DNA to create. Like that's something that is like in the image of God. And I think it is curiosity. Like I don't see myself, unfortunately, like doing something else other than being an artist.
Sure.
That's such a double-edged sword. Because health insurance.
We live in capitalist society, I get it.
I like a big part of what I believe my calling in life is it's not like, oh, I'm called to, I must dance or it's not like tethered to one specific medium. But what I do, I am very like, I feel so sure that is my calling is I want to be here to activate other people and I want to like, when I see that in someone else, I need them to know. And like, if it's not about like my name, right? It's like, it's sometimes just like that is like, I heard this once in a church message of like, our generation's ceiling is the next generation's floor.
Wow.
And I don't want to be some like grumpy, like has been, like, I want to do everything to the ceiling for the next generation's floor. And like, I'm not more unique than the person next to me. And I want them to know, like, I really feel like it doesn't just fuel me to create work. It fuels me to show up and like stand in that gap for someone to help them see that they're supposed to do it too, So I do it because of the people too. Yeah.
And I definitely do see a lot of what you do is that fervor and passion that you have. It definitely is not just you loving to create, but also being able to inspire people in all the mediums that you do, whether it be in dance, whether it be in music, whether it be through spoken word. It's really awe-inspiring to see, and the fact that you're able to achieve so much. And also not just that, but I'm so excited to see what you have in store in the future, because your potential is like sky's the limit. So I'm really excited to see what there is in store for you for both your personal and creative life. So I'm really excited to see you shine out there and keep on doing you, Deb. You're doing awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for believing me, and I'm interviewing you next episode. So
we'll see. We'll see. One step at a time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's a neat little bow to tie it up. One last question that I have before we start up this is, what is, as a advice for, you said generation, with creatives are coming up, that are struggling or afraid to take that first step, what is one piece of advice, your open mic to the world, that you would give to share to them?
So maybe this is just like a little tribute message to you, but like someone who's like near and dear to the dance community just passed this like a few days ago. His name's Sam Harvey, and he was just a beautiful person and so talented. And I don't want to like reinvent the wheel here, but like life is so short. And it's too short for it to be conquered by your fears. Yeah, like I think love is the opposite of fear. So like do it for yourself, if not for anyone else. Don't be afraid.
Oh, great. What a succinct way to just tell people, to go for it, to do what they do, and just go do it. Yeah. Well, I think that is a great, thank you for that advice, and I really do appreciate it. And as I said before, I'm so excited to see not only what you create, but the generations that you inspire to create in the future. So thank you, Deb. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, that is the end of the episode. Just so that way people could be able to find you. I assume your personals is like on Instagram, SoundCloud. What are your personals so that way people could search you up?
Yeah, it's Jungin Baby, JUNGIN BABYY.
Gotcha. And mainly Instagram, or do you have other avenues?
Instagram, SoundCloud.
Gotcha.
Hit me for my Venmo. Yeah.
Well, other than the Venmo part, I'll put the rest of the I'll put the rest of the links in the description below, so that way they get a chance to check you out. Because as I said, there's a lot of amazing stuff that you've done, and I hope that a lot of people that get a chance to look at this interview get to see all the stuff that you do. So keep on doing you, Deb. You're awesome.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. So now that's the final go ahead with the episode. So let's go sign off by saying bye to our listeners. See y'all, listeners.
Peace.
Living Mosaic.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that episode of Mosaic Makers. Again, I just want to thank Deb, aka Jungin, for taking time out of her busy schedule to talk about her journey as a creative, going all the way back to her humble beginnings, growing up in a Korean household, as well as growing up in Staten Island, as well as her ups and downs in her journeys as a dancer, actor, spoken word, singer, DJ, all of that. And then how that ultimately led through small little increments in her life, how her faith and her passion to go for it has carried out in all that she does to this day. Please, you are doing a disservice to yourself. You do not check out her stuff. All of her stuff is on the social below, so you do not get a chance to miss out. Now, as we wrap up Living Mosaic into getting more and more of these products out there, I don't want you to miss out on the insane amount of content that I got in store. So please follow Living Mosaic on our website, livingmosaiq.com, on Instagram at livingmosaiq, and all of our available social platforms, so that way you get a chance to check us out. The description's down below too. So please, we'll be posting these regular episodes all the time, so follow us on social media so you get to check out more on that. Now, if you like the show, please show your love by getting a like, share, and follow on all of our available podcast platforms on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. That way we get to ensure that we get to spread this to inspiration to you, the listener. And your contribution really helps, so I really appreciate that. And hey, please leave a good review and highlight anything you love in particular about this podcast, so we get to curate this to be the best experience for you, the listener. So thank you again for taking time out of your day to listen to this episode of Mosaic Makers. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. See y'all.